Hi, welcome into Authentically Lovable You, a podcast on authenticity. Today, what we're going to be talking about is beyond resilience, thriving in uncertainty. Again, beyond resilience, thriving in uncertainty. Right? This is a very timely conversation about what does it mean to be resilient and how do we thrive in uncertain times. So, resilience, what does it mean? Resilience is our ability to bounce back from challenges. Thriving means growing, evolving, and finding meaning even when things are uncertain or hard. So, going beyond resilience means not just getting through it, but using uncertainty as fuel to become more aligned, purposeful, and authentic. Why is this so important? Life is unpredictable. We have career shifts, relationships change, the world throws curveballs. And if we only aim to get through it, we miss opportunities to discover new strengths, to reconnect with what truly matters, and obviously to create something better, not just restore what was. And remember, a lot of times, if you think about your car, our front windshield is really huge, right? And our rear view mirror is really small. So the analogy is we're to be looking forward, right? Because that's where the bigger picture is. So remember to keep your focus on moving forward, not looking back. So, how do we apply this in our daily life? First of all, we shift our mindset from surviving to growing. Ask yourself, what can this teach me? What am I supposed to learn here? When you ask that question, what am I supposed to learn? It's your gateway to learning what you need to move on to your next level and next step in your life. Second question, how can I grow through this? Not just go through it. So, a lot of times in our events in our life, right, there's a purpose. It's leading us through our purpose. And so we're just not going through things. If you've ever heard that, if you don't learn the lesson, you keep lapping the mountain. And we've all seen that movie, Groundhog Day. And we don't want to keep repeating the same cycles, right? We want to learn what we need to learn our lesson so we can go to the next step. That helps us grow as an individual, corporately, and collaboratively. We need to stay present, but vision oriented. Practice mindfulness. So, we've talked about this mindfulness, uh, moving ahead with intention. So it helps you to stay grounded in the now. A lot of times we get caught up with the future. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Am I going to have enough money? But where am I going to live? What kind of job am I going to have? Those are all great concerns, but right now we just need to focus on today. We're not promised tomorrow. And so we need to keep in mind to live our best life, and that is our current life, which is today. Keep a vision. What kind of person do you want to become through this? A lot of times I've struggled in certain situations. And through my last struggle, um, I represented a great maturity. I kept things to myself instead of talking about them. And I gave it time. And that was a big step for me. So you have to ask yourself, who do I want to become through this? And what do I want to visualize the end to look like? Take small aligned actions. Even in chaos, you can make intentional choices. And what do we mean by that? Well, it's like when you wake up in the morning, I always have a little post-it of things that I need to accomplish. I'm making intentional choices. I'm just not meandering through my day, going to work, working out, calling people. There's certain things that I need to accomplish each and every day. And I can't let life just corrupt my time. I have to be very intentional. Secondly, set boundaries. We've talked about this before. We can't allow things to just come in and distract us. Why? Well, because in distractions, that takes us away from our purpose, from our goal. It's like if we go to the gym, right? And we meet some friends. We start talking and we decide we go to lunch. And, before you know it, our 4 or 5 hours is kind of done. And you never accomplished your intention, which was to work out. So always make sure that as you have it on your post-it, I schedule the time and I set the boundary. If at the end of the day I have additional time left, I can make a phone call or I can do a fun activity or, you know, work on my side hustle or my business. All right. So you set boundaries because you have a limit of only so much time per day and, frankly, so much energy. And so you don't want to be hit with, everything from the left, right, up, and down. You want to prioritize. And that's our next point. Prioritize what fuels you. Example, instead of reacting in fear during a job loss, you reflect. What kind of work would actually energize me? Then take a small step toward that. We're moving into a time, like I said before, that there are a lot of entrepreneurs. There are a lot of self-starters, right? We learned that through COVID. People didn't want to do their 9 to 5 or they couldn't do their 9 to 5 because they were locked down. So what did they do? They got creative. So instead of maybe having their business, making cookies in the bakery at the local bakery shop, they made them from home and they came up with a delivery option and, they were able to be very flexible in their menu and options with their customers. And frankly, they made a lot more money. So, whenever we have challenges or opportunities where things change, that's a time to say, stop. What do I want to do next? Do I want to do something creative? Do I want to do anything at all? Do I want to start a blog, a small business? What are my passions? What excites me? I'm a very creative person. I like to create things. It comes very easily to me, and it's fun. So look at the things that energize you. A job, if you think about 9 to 5 jobs, sometimes if there's not a lot of activity, they can get boring. And a lot of people don't want to do the 9 to 5 anymore. There's a lot of uncertainty there. And so they want to be able to have more freedom and work from home, maybe travel, do a blog or a podcast, and make it work for them. And these are all great options. So you take a small step. And how do we do that? Well, start with research. Look at what's working for other people. Look and read some blogs, look into some podcasts. It all talks about how people start small and it builds. And we've all seen those cases where, people may have been doing it and then overnight they go viral. They're a huge success. And that could be you. So, and give yourself time, all right? And go easy on yourself, but be creative and think outside the box, is what I would say. Next, lean into your values. Authenticity. This is our channel. being authentic. We want to make sure that we're choosing what defines who we really are. Okay? When we lean into our values, which is authenticity, uncertainty strips away false identities. All right? So when we're uncertain about things, we create sometimes these mindsets that may be false. We identify with this false mindset or identity. As we go through changes in our life, we want to have the ability to adapt and grow into an area that maybe would be new, challenging, maybe more fun. So even though it may be an uncertain time, things that you may have identified with, like, for example, I was a teacher for 20 years. That time is over. And so now it's time for something new. And I'm excited because now I have more energy. I love teaching, but it was at a certain point in time in my life. And I put a lot of time and energy in it. I did extremely well. I flourished in my education, my reputation. But now it's a new time for me. And so uncertainty, I don't I don't relate to that identity anymore. And that's okay. That means I get to create a new identity. And so you give yourself time, you do the research, you work on yourself, you work on your boundaries, and you create the life that you desire. That's the point of our channel, authenticity. And our next topic, it says, where does authenticity come in? Authenticity is the foundation for thriving. It helps you stay true when everything around you shifts. You stop pretending, you start living in integrity. When you thrive as your real self, not a mask, the growth is sustainable. So when we talk about wearing a mask, we can only do that for so long. And when you get to a certain place in your life, you just want freedom. You want peace. You just want to be able to let your hair down and be you. But if you don't know who you is, then you have to discover that all over again. And that does take work. Uncertainty is life's invitation to return to who you really are. So think about that quote. So right now we're in uncertain times. A lot of people have lost their jobs. Uh, they have to pay bills. They have a mortgage. They have a family. They have children. And it's an uncertain time. So let's go back to the basics. And if you have a hard time with that, think about, what did you dream of as a child? What did you always want to do? It doesn't have to be anything huge or overwhelming. Some people go and get in a band, right? They sing karaoke. They paint. They work with children. Find where that lost love went and rediscover it. Closing thought. Thriving in uncertainty isn't about being unaffected. It's about being unshaken in your core. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to evolve through the unknown. So a lot of times we go through things that every day, every day that you wake up, we're hit with things in the news, our families, our jobs, traffic, bills, events, relationships. We never know what each day is going to bring. But do know this, you will always have the tools to handle whatever comes your way. And that's what being resilient is about. You have certain tools in your toolbox that you can utilize and use. You can branch out. So, being a teacher, I can still branch out and do things with uh, education, children. I don't have to specifically be a teacher, but just because things are uncertain doesn't mean it needs to affect you. Make a plan, consider your options, but know it's about being unshaken in your core, that no matter what comes your way, you can handle it. And we should all be having that kind of mindset. I've gone through jobs, I've lost jobs. I've recreated myself. I've redefined myself. I've reinvented myself many times over. And so I know that if I can do it, you can do it too. And that's about just being authentic. Finding the things that interest you, that give you passion and excitement for life. So just remember, it's not about having all the answers, it's about willing to evolve through the unknown. And that's how we get to our next place. That's how we become resilient through uncertainty. And then before you know it, you've come through that tunnel and you have your new opportunity, your new passion. You wake up excited. You're fulfilling your purpose. So I hope this message has helped you. Okay, continue to be resilient. Continue to push through. Continue to keep going. Continue to be authentically lovable you, because I know that you are. And I look forward to hearing about all your success. And until next time, have a great day. And remember to continue to be authentically lovable you. Bye bye.